Take back your soul. This is another transmission from Mahadeva here at ThunderWizard.com headquarters, where you find the world's only unified spiritual energy system at ThunderWizard.com. Get ready, because here I come. Hello, YouTube. This is Mahadeva, the Thunder Wizard. Welcome back. My apologies. I deleted the live stream that I did, and I did that because I had brought in some videos from another YouTube channel, and I started getting paranoid that that was going to cause a copyright strike, and so I'm just paranoid because, you know, recent issues with YouTube. So I'm making the video again, and instead of relying on the video, I've taken the valuable information and I'm going to share it with you myself. And I also forgot to focus on creating a meditative practice that perhaps may allow us the ability to achieve whatever the purposes are of what the pyramid was originally meant to do. So there's a lot of unpack here, so let's get to it. Again, this is the Giza Pyramid an alien transporter to Orion's Belt? Is this our origins? Is this the origins of our true ancestors? What does all that mean? I don't know. Let's take a look at it. And then the meditation technique to astral travel to alien homeworld, or who knows what. Let's take a look at it together. So, in order for me to do that, I'm going to bring up my notes. I'm actually going to follow my notes. I'm very bad at this, but I think it's important. So, as I've said, because of my most recent awakening and combined with the information that the deep state is consciously leaking to us, which again, I believe that they are doing in order to precipitate a false flag alien invasion. So what that means is that the Pentagon is not just leaking, it is actually giving videos to mainstream media outlets, to your average news, CBS, MSNBC, Fox News, your local TV station, and this has been done for a while, but they're people, supposed whistleblowers, are coming forward with these videos that have been taken by Air Force pilots and Navy ships, and they are saying that the Pentagon has confirmed that those videos of those alien ships flying around, or those UFOs, are real, and they are hinting that yes, we are confirming that these are not made here on Earth. So they're, in essence, as clearly as they can, saying extraterrestrials exist and they have technology far beyond ours. And then there's always the follow-up, which is, what does that mean? And you'll hear these whistleblowers saying things like, do we need to be afraid? They're invading our airspace. And so what that means is that the deep state, for the past 2 years, has been running an experiment on all kinds of things, but one of them is how they can use fear to completely take control of governments in the world and completely control you. And so that is, I believe, their first step. Their second step will be, they hope, and I hope we'll be able to prevent this, but I believe that their next step is going to be that they are going to fake an alien invasion and then use that as a prelude to going to war. And as it so happens, we have this thing called Space Force. People made fun of that, but why else would you have Space Force if you're not going to try and be Star Wars and go out into space and fight a war? So what I believe is going to happen is they're going to try, or hope, they're hoping that they're going to be able to create a false emergency situation, and this time they're going to say we're being invaded by UFOs, and then they're going to and they'll do that with their own reverse engineered crafts that they have spent the last 70 years perfecting based on reverse engineering of alien technology. And they're going to fake an alien invasion, and they're going to do that as a means not to fight aliens, but to control you and to control the world. Because aliens have shown that they're really not interested in conquering us, assuming that they do exist, which I'm prepared to believe. It's not easy for me to believe. I don't like the idea. It's a frightening and disturbing thought that there are physical beings that are not human, that don't function like we do, that don't think like we do, that have technology far beyond what we can understand, and also very likely psychic and spiritual abilities far beyond what we can comprehend. And so, my whole role in the universe is completely shifted, and I'm basically just a monkey in comparison to these beings. At least that's how it feels. And so that I'm not saying this with any pleasure or any joy. I'm just, as you know, I'm interested in the truth, and that seems to be the truth. So there are some very interesting things that I've come to realize as this. Anyway, so let's get on with it. So I am of the belief that pyramids, the Giza Pyramid specifically, the Great Pyramid of Giza, I believe to be of alien design, probably built by aliens, but perhaps in conjunction with human beings. I believe that the pyramid is far older than what we are told. I'm sorry, but it just doesn't seem likely to me that 4,000 years ago that human beings in one tiny part of the world in Egypt became so advanced in their science that they created this amazing thing that even humans today, I don't even know that they would know how to do it. But even if they did create a monolith that huge, there's so much more to it. I mean, there's passageways inside of it. The level of precision that it took for them to do it is still, even for us today, hard to comprehend. So how could they have done that, whenever it was 4,000 years ago, supposedly? I don't believe that. But now the whole alien thing makes it more palatable, and I believe that this was built whenever the golden age was, which if I'm accurate, I think was 25,000 or 35,000 years ago. So this would have been during the Ice Age, and it would have been during a time when the banks of the Nile came right up to where the pyramids are in Giza, Egypt. And I believe what I've heard makes a lot of sense, and what I'm going to share with you today, I believe I'm going to give you some potential evidence based on the scientific facts of the pyramid itself, that this pyramid was created to be an energy projector, that it projected an energy that went all the way around the globe and was designed to have an effect on the consciousness of human beings. And it was done at a time when we were shifting, because there was the golden age where human beings, they were psychic, they were 100% connected spiritually, we were connected and could, communicate with the ancestors, and if there were aliens, we would have been able to have communicated with them, have an interaction with them, a mutually beneficial interaction. And I believe that that aliens were seeking to give us as much information so that we could spiritually as well as technologically and psychologically evolve. But we were shifting. There was something going on with the world that we now talk of as the Yugas. In case you're not familiar, go look it up, Yugas. There's two interpretations of how long the Yugas are, and I believe that the yugas only last for thousands of years, not millions of years. That doesn't make sense to me. Um, but there's two interpretations. Some people believe that we are still in Kali Yuga and we will be in Kali Yuga for another X amount of millions of years. I don't believe that. I believe the correct interpretation of the Yugas says that Kali Yuga, which is the age of darkness where people are not connected to spirituality, they are in their deepest, darkest, most animal like, fear based mind. I believe that age took place during the Middle Ages. In fact, if you look at that calculation, it says the exact middle of the Middle Ages was in fact the middle of Kali Yuga. And also the age of Pisces, which is the age of the fish, that was Christianity, because that was the symbol of Christianity. And we've since moved out of that and we're on our way. We moved out of that 2012 and we are beginning to move into the age of Aquarius. We're going through the dynamic shift after that. So I believe that the pyramids were powered by water. So one of the interesting things about the pyramid is that when you look in the inside, there's actually residue, at the ceilings during, in all these passageways, and you can see residue that seems to indicate that the pyramid was full of water, like water was pumped all the way through it, all the way to the top. So, it wasn't this really elaborate tomb, which again doesn't make any sense. Why are there all these different passageways going in all these different directions? Why are they aligned perfectly with star systems? I'm sorry, I just don't buy it that it was just a really, really lavish tomb for Khufu. I don't believe that for a second. Anyway, it seems as though water was used as a source to use the pyramid to actually be an energy, life force energy, electromagnetic transformer that projected energy and created an aura around the earth. Anyway, let me get into the specifics. I talk way too much. So, as you know, it is my experience with the spirit fighting is we're creating Merkabas, which are a combination of spheres and triangles, which create space-time. I believe that pyramids are energy generators, and are these energy practices that we do, that I'm doing here, are these also alien technology designed to help us evolve and create energy vortexes that we can use in the same way that the pyramids were using energy to evolve consciousness around the whole earth. So again, if I haven't been clear, my apologies. We were leaving the golden age, and the people who were alive knew it was coming, and our alien, whether they're our ancestors or whether they're just our more advanced friends in the universe, they were actually seeking to help us create an energy generator that would create an energy field around the world that was conducive to human consciousness, and they were trying to stave off the eventual end of human consciousness and the devolution into the age of Kali Yuga, which is dangerous enough that if we act out our deepest self-destructive unconscious tendencies, we could destroy ourselves and perhaps even destroy the universe. So the pyramid was an attempt, I believe, to prevent that from happening. And of course that didn't, the pyramid is basically this giant energy generator that's now just been turned off for 20 or 30,000 years. All right, so there's a guy named Joe Parr. If you watched the live stream, you saw it, but let me give you the information. This is, I believe he's an engineer, and he found through experiments, he experimented on the Great Pyramid of Giza, and he found that there were energetic properties to the Great Pyramid, that the pyramid creates electromagnetic energy fields. And he's not the first person to say that. Anybody who climbs to the top of the pyramid during a thunderstorm will tell you, that it creates all kinds of energy. He found that when he went back and experimented with pyramids, that if he put a current through a pyramid, that the pyramid could create an energy field that actually blocked all other kinds of energy fields. This is what I believe it was attempting to do with human consciousness. It was trying to put a protective energy around the earth so that we could stay in the consciousness of Satya Yuga, or the age of highest spiritual awareness. And I believe that's what its purpose was. And this guy, an engineer, is finding this out. He's coming to a slightly different conclusion because he's not aware of that, but he's coming to the conclusion that he found that pyramids, when you put energy through them, create these electromagnetic fields that block out all kinds of other energy fields, radiation, electromagnetism, things like that. So it creates this protective aura around the pyramid. And then he did this really interesting experiment where he would take a pyramid and he would spin it, and then he would put a current through it, and then to his surprise, the pyramid started to levitate and then started to point to a certain direction. And when he did whatever calculations he did to figure it out, he found out that what was happening is that the pyramids were trying to point towards Orion's Belt. That's way too specific for me. Anyway, I'll have to do more research on Orion's Belt and mythology and spirituality and see what that means. But at the very least, it makes me come to the same conclusion that this guy Joe Parr came to, which is that perhaps pyramids are seeking to create vortexes, or seeking to create transporters, or seeking to maybe even be a method of transport to this area in our Milky Way galaxy, the Orion's Belt. What does that mean? I don't know, but I find it very interesting. It's also interesting to know that Orion's Belt, from our perspective, is made up of 3 stars, and we are made up of 3 stars in and of ourself, our higher self, middle self, and lower self. So is the pyramid designed to help us realign to our original blueprint? Is the blueprint for human beings having 3 selves, does that come from Orion's Belt? Is that more than just symbolic? The 3 pyramids of Giza are laid out exactly like Orion's Belt. Many other pyramids are laid out in that same configuration. Is this something that was worldwide? So is the pyramid a gateway to other star systems? Here's an interesting fact. I don't know how many people, I believe that Napoleon, but for certain Hitler, spent the night in the Great Pyramid in the King's Chamber and slept in the King's Chamber. And I don't remember exactly what happened, but the way I remember it is that whatever happened was so shocking and frightening to him that he ended up getting up in the middle of the night and getting out of the pyramid. And whenever he was asked about it, he wouldn't talk about it. So does that mean that, that quote, crypt in the Great Pyramid, maybe it's not a crypt. Maybe it is a transporter. Maybe you lay in it, and when it's working, it transports you, physically transports you to some other place in the universe. Or, maybe it's a stargate. Or maybe by lying in there, it transports your spirit or your energy body. Maybe astrally you travel to another place. And so it would be a way for human beings to go and transport themselves, at the very least their consciousness, to the home world and communicate with the true ancestors. And I honestly don't know. I don't know, I got to research this, but what I find interesting is that the temple for the pyramid was in the east, facing east, but the actual entrance was facing north. Anyway, before I say something I don't know what I'm talking about, I'll stop right there. I'll have to do more research on that. So the King's Chamber, as you know, was assumed to be a tomb, and we have been told that it was the tomb of the of the pharaoh Khufu. And the truth is that the only reason that we believe that is because there is some graffiti in ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs that say Khufu. There's no other hieroglyphs anywhere. But all of these other tombs, the Egyptian tombs, like the tombs of King Tut, it's filled with hieroglyphs. So what this means is that Khufu just simply, signed his name to it. Maybe he wanted to turn it into his own grave, or his own crypt. But the truth is that Khufu was Pharaoh 25,000 years, I believe, after the pyramid was created. So take that for whatever it is. Anyway, the king's chamber is assumed to be a tomb, but that's a presumption. And in examining the Great Pyramid, as I said, there's residue in there that says that the pyramid was pumped full of water, which would have created, which would have been like a hydroelectric dam. It would have started to create electromagnetic fields. And so, as I said, I believe that's what would have turned it on and turned it into this worldwide energy generator. And anyway, I already asked those other questions. Could then it have been used to create a wormhole or be a transporter to other dimensions, et cetera, et cetera? All right, now let's get into some very interesting facts about the pyramid. So, the pyramid is aligned more perfectly to true north than any other building in history. I didn't make that up. That's assuming that's true. That's a fact that was said about it, which is amazing because we have tons of buildings and none of them are as accurately aligned to true north as the pyramids. And the pyramids didn't have compasses like we do, where they can figure out the difference between magnetic north and true north. Again, how were they able to do that 4,000 years ago? I don't believe that that's possible, or it's extremely unlikely. The placement of the pyramid is also very important. As it turns out, very specifically placed. It's not that the Egyptians happen to be the most powerful and they happen to create a pyramid there because that's where they lived. No, the actual placement of the pyramid in Egypt where it could not be placed anywhere else and have this associated with it, which is the placement of the pyramid on the planet is the perfect location for transmitting energy to all of the land masses on Earth. So if you wanted to transmit energy and your focus is to reach the most land mass on Earth, which of course where humans are, the most efficient and most powerful location of that would be exactly where it is. There's no other place in the world where you would be able to use that as a generator, because if you, I don't know how the words that you saw it in the film if you saw the live stream. If you right angles, this, that, and the other thing, the circumference of all of it reaches the most land mass on Earth, and that's the most efficient point on the planet to be able to do that. Again, that goes with my belief. I didn't make up this theory. Somebody else came up with it. Apparently, this is what is still being taught today about what the pyramids were designed to do. That this would go in line with that. The pyramid was actually an energy projector that went around the whole world. If you wanted to make an energy projector to create an aura around the land mass of the Earth where all the humans are, the most powerful place to do that would be right where it is. So that makes sense to me. I hope I explained that correctly. The pyramid, okay, I already talked about that. So again, I think it's worth repeating that if the alien architects, if they're from the Orions Belt, wanted to transmit their consciousness to the majority of human populations on Earth at that time, this would have been the location to do so. So let's get into some of the measurements. So the pyramid was not made in feet or meters or inches. It was made in royal cubits. So a cubit is 1.86 feet. And that 1.86 feet actually turns out to be 1/25 millionth of the polar diameter of the Earth. So from pole to pole, it is, if you take one cubit and put them together 25 million times exactly, you end up with the exact polar diameter of the Earth. The length of the pyramid from one corner to another corner is 365.242 cubits. And it takes the Earth, are you ready for this? It takes the Earth 365.242 days to orbit the sun. So let's repeat that. So when you measure the length of the pyramid from one corner to another, it comes out to 365.242 cubits. And it takes the Earth 365.242 days to orbit the sun. I mean, how could they possibly have known that? The pyramid is also an exact fraction of the measurement of the Earth from equator to the North Pole, and an exact fraction of the circumference of the Earth at the equator. So the pyramid itself, if you look at the dimensions of it, I don't completely understand it, but it's an exact fraction of the measurement of the Earth. So it's a scale model of the measurement from the Earth, from the North Pole to the equator. It's an exact scale model. And it is also an exact fraction scale model of the circumference of the Earth at the equator. This makes it a perfect scale model of the northern hemisphere. So what does that mean? That means if you take one pyramid and then put another one underneath it, you have an exact scale model of the Earth itself. How could they have figured that out? I find that very interesting because the pyramid meditation that I have taught and I am, continuing to practice and working with, is that when I'm meditating, I imagine myself inside of not just a pyramid, but a pyramid that mirrors itself. So a pyramid, I'm sitting in a pyramid, and underneath me is another pyramid. I didn't realize that is actually an exact scale model of the entire Earth. So that's a very powerful Earth-based energy. That's one of the meditation. It's one of the reasons I'm realizing now in hindsight that I have been teaching the pyramid mudra, which is also the Ingrun mudra, and the Ingrun meditation or the pyramid meditation, which I teach in Celestial Qigong. As it turns out, I'm tapping into an exact replica energetically of this energy transmitter that transmitted a consciousness field of energy around the Earth that helped human beings to evolve. Continuing on. If you take the location of the Great Pyramid at its coordinate, which is 29.9792458 degrees north, that is exactly the speed of light measured in meters per second. So the speed of light is 299,792,458 meters per second. And the exact location of the center of the pyramid is 29.9792458 degrees north. So it's the speed of light. This is all too coincidental. I don't think, all of these things put together, I don't think there's any, the idea is we're supposed to just accept the idea that this was all random and that the scientists who created, supposedly the Egyptian engineers who thought up and created the pyramid were consciously doing all of these things, or that it just happens to be, such an incredible coincidence. I don't think it is. I still, even today, I don't think that human beings would have come up with something like that for any reason, even know why. And I'm starting to realize that my pyramid meditation is helping me to understand what all of this was about. Again, I'm starting to believe, and I'm willing to be wrong. I have no attachment to this, but it's exciting to think that perhaps this pyramid meditation that I made up or channeled, 12 years ago, is actually a method for empowering, protecting, really tapping into the earth, and also turning our body into an energy transmitter, and perhaps even a method of transportation to communicate with the original ancestors of the human race that live in Orion's Belt, maybe. I don't know. What do you guys think? So this all, in my notes here, it says, all of this information leads me to believe that a superior civilization designed and created the pyramid to help human consciousness evolve. They must also have predicted that the conditions on Earth would energetically shift into the age of Kali Yuga and possibly bring about the end of the human race or the planet Earth. And as we've seen, unlike the false flag operations, which I think are human created, where you have these negative abduction experiences or negative experiences where UFOs are, causing pain or destruction. I think that is human experiments with their best attempt to recreate, reverse engineer, and I think what they're doing is they're taking some of the alien technology that they can reverse engineer and then doing things like using nuclear engines to power them. I think they're making that mistake, and as opposed to the actual alien crafts that are using this energy practice that is similar, gives the same experience of the Mao Shan, which is you're creating anti-gravity gravity fields, which give you the ability to move faster than space-time. We'll talk more about that as I continue to research and understand it more. But I do have a pyramid meditation, which I believe will be helpful for us. I think there's a possibility that, according to some of the predictions of the Hopi, that if we don't get our collective crap together on this planet and stop experimenting with destructive technology, if we don't stop using petroleum to destroy our atmosphere, that our neighbors in this galaxy may have to invade. They may have to, come and take over our planet so that we don't destroy ourselves and or destroy the universe by using nuclear weapons or, atomic colliders or whatever it is that we're playing around with. And also, messing around with our own DNA with all of the medical experiments that are going on. I think our friends, for their own survival and for out of honest worry about us, they may have to come down. And I don't think that will be necessarily a pleasant experience, because I don't know. I'm still working on how do I want to contact them? How could I communicate with them? I think it'll be a challenging experience. And I think ideally what they want is what I want, which is that we're able to clean up our own mess in our own room, tidy up our own living quarters here, so that we don't need, grandma to come in and, clean our room for us. All right, so I do have a pyramid meditation which you can get in the Celestial Qigong. I don't know if I teach it other places, I probably do, but I definitely teach the pyramid meditation and the pyramid mudra in the Celestial Qigong, which you can get. There's a live stream version, you can get it. The lockdown package has it, lockdown.thunderwizard.com. I also have it at celestialqigong.com. And I think even spiritdao.com. I'll give links out to it. But anyways, if you want to do that meditation, it is a very powerful, extremely protective meditation. Before I even knew what it was and I was channeling it, I knew it was incredibly powerful, that it had the ability to protect you from all negativity. It was extremely balancing and grounding, and you can do that meditation as a way of grounding after you've done your Maoshan practices, which I need to put the link up here, maoshan.thunderwizard.com. And sorry, I'm looking for that. Anyway, Maoshan, MAOSHAN.thunderwizard.com. You can go there. And if you start doing that, then that is one meditation you can do to ground yourself, because that energy is extremely powerful. And anyway, I'm not finding the link, so I'll have to worry about it another time. In any case, you already know the link, maoshan.thunderwizard.com. I have just taken off $750 from that. But I think, for me anyway, that's a practice that I do, is I do the spirit fighting and then I do the pyramid meditation to seal in the power and to ground myself into the earth. So I offer that to you as well. If you want to, you can go ahead and do that and find out for yourself how powerful all of that is. Okay, so that's it for me, guys. I look forward to seeing you on the channel soon. Take care.